But on the other hand, it seems as if he's taking a gamble, because you have the road less taken is usually the gamble, as opposed to the road that is primarily taken, which in most occasions it's people playing it safe.
And if you want to take the road less taken, you're probably going to take time to stop and smell the roses as well. I know I'm diverting, but it just hit me now, like thunder. But stop and smell the roses. Take time out of your day, your busy life schedule.
Hello and welcome to the 10th season of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Larry.
Dan.
I'm Ari.
And I'm Josh, and
If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it.
alrighty then. Ari, welcome back to your 8th consecutive season as a panelist, and your 10th consecutive season in any capacity regarding the show.
Yay.
Dan, welcome back to your 9th consecutive season.
Yep, I was not in season 1.
Nope. And Larry, welcome back to your 7th consecutive but 8th overall season.
Thank you.
So,
That's a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
yep. And it's
I
a
remember all that.
reliable group of people. Here, a great deal of longevity. Combined, we've been on for, based off of who's been on the panel, it's 35 out of 40 possible seasons.
Yay.
So, to kick off, we are going to be going over a children's novel. It is an absolute classic, and you may recognize...
It also involves involuntary manslaughter.
there's a great film adaptation from 1971.
And a terrible remake of that film adaptation.
In 2005.
Yeah, that's right, I said it.
The Tim Burton
What?
man.
Yeah.
Oh, the Tim Burton one was awful.
But then again, Roald Dahl himself. We're going over Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, right? Roald Dahl, by the way. But Roald Dahl did not like the 1971 adaptation, and in some ways I could see why. But
Well, this isn't funny, Wonka!
to us, it was much better than 2005. And
Sure.
Ari,
And it's a classic in its own right.
But
Yeah,
2005 would
I would
add a
say
whole
so.
storyline like Wonka's past. That's not in the book.
no, it isn't. That
No,
and the
I
Oompa
don't know.
Loompas were multiple people, not one that was made into multiple people.
And the
Because
CGI did
money.
not hold up today.
Yeah, the whole angle with the dad and the dentist and all that was like... And then they had the nerve to say it was more faithful to the book. It's like, what are you just inventing stuff?
I feel like Jesse would be a better dentist than Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee's an actor, though.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
played a
know.
dentist once.
But he played the dentist in...
He did play the dentist, but he's
So did Chevy Chase.
he's not really a dentist like Dr.
Okay,
No,
Wilbur.
Wilbur Wonka.
What's the
Damn it, Josh!
what's the discussion starter?
Am I doing the discussion starter?
Yeah, you're doing the discussion starter.
Hooray! Okay, so my discussion starter is, who do you think is more at fault? Like, I'll give you 3 choices. Who do you think's most at fault for everything that happened in the story? Willy Wonka, the parents, or the kids? I've always wanted to bring this question up because it's a lot of different answers from different people.
What do you mean at fault for what?
For just the general order of events that happened in the book.
I would say Willy Wonka's the one that planted the seed, per se. But it all depends on who you're concerning. I think.
Oh, and
that,
by the way, I'm specifically talking about the book. So, like, I don't want to hear the
As-
the boat only had 8 seats in it argument.
as far as everything,
It seemed like a kid get sucked.
I think that the revelation is you have to credit Willy Wonka for the revelation of everything. Because while I think kids are just kids, parents have the ability to correct behavior, but in many cases in this book they did not. But when their trip to the chocolate factory is what really had an impact on these.
Like, no matter how many parents or kids you put into a situation like that, it's the fact that the situation was the situation, and it could have happened to any kid, not just them.
You're saying it's the kids'
I mean, the
fault.
kids though, they went down because of problems in their personalities, right? They were
The
faulty.
greedy girl, the thing is, wanted there's squirrels in the book, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like, from what I remember, it's like
she wanted everything.
Yeah, she wanted
it
everything.
all.
So the thing is, due to the fact that her being selfish caused her to, become a bad nut and just get
But
drunk.
but her
The
parents.
only one I don't think was at any fault was
They
the fat
completely
kid who got
disobeyed
caught
the
in the
rules.
river.
Oh,
You know?
in a way.
Well,
but
I mean,
he was a glutton, and his parents let him be a glutton.
Yeah.
Yes, but the thing is,
And that's the same with Veruca Salt.
It's like a
her
enabling.
parents caved into every little demand.
yeah, but we're talking about who's at fault here.
Who's at fault? When
I say the kids are at fault because the thing is,
No.
they're the ones that didn't listen. The thing
They
is,
didn't
they just
listen,
causing themselves
but
to
they're-
get caught in these situations.
But,
But
they're
that's-
products of their parents.
Yeah,
and
the
that's-
parents could have corrected the behavior far
Or
before
attempted it, yeah.
they came to the chocolate
yeah,
factory.
before they came to the chocolate. Yeah, absolutely.
And then, of course, you got Mr. and Mrs.
But-
Salt going right down the thing after them, because
Yeah.
they're the same way.
That's the
Yeah.
thing with the Gloops. Mrs. Gloop was, oh, my son eats all of these chocolate bars all day long.
And the father's just like, oh, I'm gonna make some.
So
that one
they-
girl's like
they encourage the behavior.
And
Yeah.
so did
Gum
Yeah.
Violet,
Violet's parents, because they were like, oh, she's like the champion and whatever.
The champion of chewing a 3-month-old wad of gum.
Yeah, and then she chews a gum and the thing is like blows up.
And of course,
Not blow up like.
Mike, I remember with Mike's parents, it was kind of just like they didn't want to understand anything, so they just let him do what he wanted to, and
Yeah,
And
but,
he got turned really small.
yeah, that was the Wonka vision.
small-minded.
But they were the only ones that really came to their senses after everything took place.
Well, yeah, your son is like 3 feet.
They-
they don't,
he said
an
that
inch
he-
tall.
He said he could keep watching TV even if he was small, and the dad said that they were throwing the TV away.
Oh yeah, and then he wound up being what, 7 feet tall, 8
yeah,
feet
he
tall.
got they.
Oh yeah, they
stretched-
put him in a taffy puller.
That's
Mike TV will literally be the next Michael Jordan.
but that's the thing. The Mike. That's one of the things
Mike
that I
enjoyed.
didn't like about
Oh yeah, at
the
the time of
the
doing that.
2005 film. You had the 1971 version. They didn't show them whatsoever because I think that they were limited as far as special effects were concerned.
Yeah.
In 2005, they changed, instead of Augustus Gloop becoming thin, they turned him into chocolate.
Yeah.
Violet was still blue, but they gave her flexibility.
Wait. When did they turn him into chocolate?
In the 2005 version.
They did?
In the book, he just got thin, that he couldn't keep his pants on.
Yeah.
But,
We don't
I
even
don't
know if
remember
in the
that particular
71
line.
version if they survived.
But he,
they did, but they said that they, hopefully, he said that they were turned back into their normal state, only hopefully they got
A
out
little
wiser.
word for the whiner.
Yeah,
There's no earthly way of knowing.
but I just want to get a survey from everybody. What's your favorite part of the book?
my favorite part of the book, I guess probably the ending, right? When Charlie wins the contest and they go and get everybody. I've read the book since I was probably about 6 or 7 years old. It was when I read it. The movie was a big deal when I was a kid, and that's just the part that I always remember.
In the movie, that was the best part of the whole film.
Yeah.
I actually think the part where
And
they
then
drink the thing and they go floating. I know it's not in the book, but I like that scene in the movie.
Yeah, it's a great scene. That's
the
what I
fizz,
wanted
yeah.
to say that, but it's like it's not in the book.
Yeah,
It is
I
what
like
it
it.
is.
if that was
I
in
like
the book,
the,
I
he
would
makes
think that was my
mention
favorite
to
part.
that.
Yeah.
I like the square candies with
Well, I know they
round
make
faces.
a brief mention to
okay.
it, but there's no part where they actually drink it and
Yeah.
go flying.
He
Yeah.
does drop he does make
Or square candies
it's a
that
bit
look
of a
round.
rarity in a children's book, but he does use the word ass, which I think if you released a children's book in this day and age and you use that word,
It'd be very T for teen.
yeah, it wouldn't be able to, wouldn't fly.
I would say that
Even in Kingdom Hearts, they had in Pleasure Island, they had to change the term jackass to jack and mule.
Oh, I thought you said they were going to change the word pleasure to something else.
What about Pinocchio, though, right? I mean, that's a huge part of Pinocchio's on Pleasure Island when the kids are turning into jackasses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they call them jack and mules.
I do want to say
Yeah.
I
about
never
that.
said, why the hell do they turn into donkeys?
because they're giving themselves over to the bad behavior. And
Yeah,
So
they're
it's
losing
like-
the ability to
Okay,
speak.
so if you
When
if
you
you turn
become-
yourself into if you indulge, you become a jackass. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, and eventually you lose your ability to speak
Oh, okay.
anything coherent.
But you
I
we
wanted
just
to
puppet
say
people.
about these square candies
Oh,
that
yeah.
look round like
It
So you
is.
could be a puppet jackass.
that particular concept is actually quite fascinating because you see that like, well, they're you can make anything. You could say that like you could take like a piece of wood and say like, oh, this is a paperweight. It's not a piece of wood; it's a paperweight. You can make whatever you like.
Oh, it's like that Phantom Toll Booth
Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of
disposition. The
exactly.
whole.
And I was so unhappy when I found out that that didn't pop up in either movie. Like I think that's one of the most brilliant parts of the book.
In the 71, it would probably be the
Budget.
the budget.
Yeah,
that and the special effects. In the 2005 version, they had their own agenda. They picked and choose.
My favorite part would have to be probably what he said, the ending part. Because the thing is, like, I know, like the thing is, like, when I was reading it, I imagined it like the one from the 1971. You know,
Yeah.
like I imagined Willy Wonka as Gene Wilder while reading this book.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, you know, I like for some reason, like seeing that scene, like, remind me of like the movie. Which, by the way, if you look closely in the background of the movie, you can actually see the area where the Oompa Loompas live, the little village. Which I know is mentioned in the book, but they don't really mention in the movie. But you can actually see it somewhere.
Yeah, I would say it's a bit in the book it's a bit more clunky where when he asks if he can bring his whole family, in this version they just drop right down and come on in. But in the I think they tried to make it much more graceful and beautiful in the film. And, and they succeeded.
Also, in the book, you can clearly tell, and this also applies to the Willy Wonka version, the 1971 version. You can clearly tell that Charlie has faults as well, but the difference is that like his faults are ones that he's able to not necessarily correct, but he understands like the difference between a fault that is like something that's like greed or like wanting something. He wants it, but he doesn't like act on it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
'cause,
still
like,
able to follow.
He really didn't have much
the
to begin
rules.
with, so he knew.
He's
what,
still-
you know,
he's still
kind of-
There
able
were
to follow
several
instructions.
things. There were
Yeah.
several things in the book that I think Charlie did that would have been inappropriate, but he didn't really act on them.
Right.
And so everything he did because him and Grandpa Joe have such a good relationship. It would be disappointing to see one to upset the other.
That's the one thing with Grandpa Joe. When I think about him, I can't help but think of Jack Albertson.
Oh, Jack Albertson's a wonderful dancer and actor.
But then again, Grandpa Joe in the book was much older. Grandpa Joe was old in the movie, but he was the oldest of the four. He was 96 years old, and he was much goofier. Even though he was the whole kick in the pants quote was the quip.
One thing that was surprising
Oh,
is
you
things
mean
that there was
about- yeah.
female Oompa Loompas. I didn't know that. I just thought they produced asexually.
Yeah.
Like things like they actually make a mention that one of the Oompa Loompas is female, and I'm like, wait, there's women Oompa Loompas?
I reckon so, if that's the way that they
And
reproduce.
do you know that that's how it works?
But
I
you said
never
your
thought about
favorite
it.
was the squares.
I would think that like
I
not
didn't
just
know
the
Yeah.
that particular part, but I think my favorite part along with that would actually be the stuff leading up to when the kids actually get the tickets, because it kind of really flushes out the characters instead of like saying, "Oh, they could act like this. They do act like
Yes.
this."
I would say,
Another great part is when Charlie gets to take it. That's another great part.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
And then the sound, and then like the Family Guy.
Oh, that was a great spoof. The pop song.
Not that
But,
Chumbawamba.
my favorite part was the events leading up to Mike TV and what happened to him. My favorite line in the whole thing was when Willy Wonka talks about cereal. He says, and I quote, "Oh, my sainted aunt," cried Mr. Wonka, "don't mention that disgusting stuff in front of me.
It's like shaving.
Do you know what breakfast cereal is made of? It's made of all those little curly wooden shavings you find in pencil sharpeners." And I like the Oompa Loompa song for Mike TV because it preached the positive effects of reading.
What I didn't realize until later until I reread it is that the sum of the Oompa Loompa songs for the characters are actually in the 2005 film. I didn't realize that until later though.
The ones that were in this book.
Like
are,
there were abridged versions of
because
it.
in the 2005 version, it just seemed to me that it was just jumble stuff.
No, but they were abridged versions of what was in the book.
Yeah, I guess
The 71 version was the one with the.
Yeah, I was
original
surprised that there
music.
were songs in the book. I did not know like that. That's really.
I remember because there were not. I remember.
I think some of them, they had some of the same gists,
Yeah.
but they were, like, with Violet, they were a bit more lenient when it came to chewing gum. They said that there were, in this one, they completely,
I don't think
detest
I
it.
actually don't think the problem with Violet was the chewing gum. I mean, I think it was more the arrogance.
She
Yeah,
was
the
arrogant.
obnoxiousness.
And
Right.
and the obnoxiousness and the competitiveness, saying that just happened to be the one habit that she locked onto.
She talks about
I'm gonna
sticking gum on
be
her.
the first person to chew this gum.
Is that really like a world record though? Chewing gum.
Yeah, I'm
It
sure
could
the
be.
Guinness Book
I mean,
of World Records got that
No
in
matter,
there.
no matter how, like even if it's the greatest juicy fruit, it's gonna lose its flavor at some point.
I don't think she cares. That's
As long as it doesn't lose its flavor on the bedpost overnight.
But,
roast beef and a baked potato.
but yeah, that was. I think that was very.
Huh?
It was
You said
captured
it
well
was
in the
chewing,
film
though.
where
You said-
Violet,
You sit
when
on
her
the
dad was
bedpost,
going to
you
talk,
go to
she
bed and you
pushed
wake up
him
in the
right
morning and put it
aside.
back in your
The
mouth.
sour cream.
It's an old song.
That close is not clean.
It's
What's
an
for
old
dessert,
song.
baby?
That's what she did anyway, right? Didn't Veruca say she left it on the bedpost?
Left what on the bedpost?
Gum?
Oh,
For the record?
oh, maybe. I don't know about.
No. Violet said that she left the gum behind her ear.
Yeah.
That's even grosser.
But
Your ears are not that
And then
clean.
she also puts it on the buttons in the elevator.
Oh, God.
People's fingers touch
She
those.
thinks it's hilarious.
oh,
Yeah, she got what she had coming.
Yep.
He-
turned into a giant.
I mean, if you're gonna think about
and
it,
you're gonna
all
be
the
purple
kids
for the rest
kind
of
of
your
deserve it
life.
except for Charlie, but you're supposed to like Charlie.
People are going to compare. If it was this day and age, people would compare you to Barney the dinosaur if you're walking around purple.
Well, Charlie's just
Or
a
to
poor
you.
kid, and they give him a chocolate
I wasn't
bar
talking about
every year on
Charlie.
his birthday. No, I'm talking to Dan here.
Oh yeah,
You know, when they get the chocolate bar, right? And he wants to share it with his family.
yeah.
You know, he's a good kid. He's actually a
Yeah.
good kid.
I thought
Well,
that was a bit.
he's never really had.
And he's
never
very
really
selfish
had money,
too,
right.
because
He's
he
never
always
had an
uses the
opportunity
food that his
for it.
grandparents
Bad
give him.
Yeah.
So the thing is, their greed and arrogance caused them to be like this. But Charlie knew to follow the rules because he never really had much, and by doing that, he ended up having everything.
Yeah.
Because he ended up getting the chocolate.
The one problem I
Being poor
have
would make
with
you
that
disciplined.
particular scene is I feel, or not scene, but like area of the book too, is giving away the chocolate like that. Like, I understand he's trying to be a good kid. I get that, but it seemed a little too goody goody. Like
I don't
I
know.
feel like a kid would want. If it's a birthday present, if it is a present you got for your birthday,
Yeah, but-
like to say, "Oh, I'm gonna give it away to everyone," even a family like that, it just seemed a bit.
And the whole
I'm not saying it
family's-
was bad. I'm not
No,
saying
it's
it was
not bad.
bad. I'm just saying it seemed a little bit unbelievable.
I think he had a sense of
Well, the whole
empathy, though,
family's
for his
eating cabbage
grandparents,
soup for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, you're going
Yeah,
to
like
want to
chocolate,
share
And
it.
it
like-
gets even.
it's like,
Which,
you know,
an
a
interesting
french
thing about
I'm
the
just
book
not sure.
is he has both of his parents, in addition to his grandparents. His
Yeah.
father, he doesn't have a father in the 71.
That was again because
Really?
they couldn't afford to hire someone to play him.
That's
and
strange.
they wrote the
But
script. Yeah, he didn't know.
But in this case, the father works at a toothpaste factory. Then he's laid off, so they're even cut even more.
And that's also
I
like
didn't realize
this
how ironic that was.
So
He
he's
works at a
shoveling snow.
toothpaste factory, and the thing is, it's called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
The dad works at a toothpaste factory.
I know, but things like toothpaste, sometimes they tend to say chocolate rots your teeth.
But
and
that's
things,
what they said in the
It's a bit
2005
of-
movie. The rise of chocolate sales because of the ticket thing cost him to lose his job. Because
Yeah,
there were more cavities, they were able to get more money.
I know, but I still find it kind of ironic that the thing is that because he didn't have a dad in the 1971 one.
Yeah, that's
So I didn't know
already
about
seen
that
as a budget thing.
until I read the book.
Did Jessie just
Oh,
not
no,
want to
that-
participate in this because she was worried about this toothpaste conversation?
Love candy, okay?
Yeah, she was the first person to get the tapping.
I don't know. I guess I'm just have a fear of
But
dentists.
and another thing is, everybody that took part got the lifetime supply of chocolate, not just Charlie or the winner.
that was
Yeah.
something that I thought was interesting because even though you get the prize, you don't get the happiness or the like.
Not being purple anymore.
Yeah, because of course if you're purple for the rest of your life.
Here's all the candy you can eat.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's at least compensation for being purple for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Or whatever the hell happened to that nut girl?
Oh.
They don't really, I
She
don't
was
really
covered
Is
in
her
garbage.
name Nut Girl now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was a nut.
Well, it's kind of hinted
Yeah,
in
she's
that
alright.
71 she
Her
probably
name,
fired.
her
pretty
name's
bad.
Veruca.
Faruka got it bad.
I don't
in,
remember any names. I'm going to tell you that right now. So I'm going to call them by, I remember Violet because she turned Violet. But I don't remember what the hell the kid with the TV was.
Mike
That was
TV.
Mike.
Mike. Okay, so Mike. And then Nut
Fat
Girl.
kid, the fat kid was
Augustus
Augustus.
Augustus. And then who was the Nut Girl?
Veruca.
Veruca Salt.
That's a stupid ass name.
Jesus!
Veruca Salt.
Well,
There's a grunge band
there
in the
are
90s called
some
Veruca
people
Salt.
out there who might think Marsiglia is a weird name.
That's not how
A
you
lot of
pronounce
weird
it.
names.
But
I don't know.
already.
Not me, I'm just saying.
I mean, does anybody disagree with the statement that Gene Wilder was the best Willy Wonka?
Oh, of course. It's not even close.
Well,
Okay.
wait,
R.I.P.
wait a minute. Are we talking about the Willy Wonka from the book too?
Willy Wonka in the book, Gene Wilder, or Johnny Depp?
Well,
Yes.
not Johnny Depp for sure. I would say it actually is a toss-up between the Gene Wilder one and the one in the book.
I
She's
think
the
the
one-
one in the book.
The only
serves
reason I
its
say that is
purpose.
because I feel like the one in the movie was a little too manic. That's
To
the
me-
only issue I have.
To me, the thing
But
about
I
him
think he was probably the best one.
is that he is a little too uncaring or unsympathetic or didn't care enough. These kids
Help.
are about to get in a
Police,
horrible accident.
murder.
Yeah, exactly. That attitude was a little off-putting, but kind of funny at the same time.
I would.
It-
well,
it's-
You
it's
boiled
targeted-
him up, I know
It's
it!
targeted toward children, and the way that fairy tales used to be written, they were supposed to be cautionary. I think that this is this and a lot of what Roald Dahl wrote was cautionary.
I would have
Yeah.
to say things I
But
would
in the
say
book, you have
Gene
Willy
Wilder, 'cause that's
Wonka.
how I imagine the Wonka as the booking. When I imagine them talking about Wonka, I imagine Gene Wilder. So I imagine the characters
Yeah.
how they looked in the 1971 book. So I would have to say I would have to go with Gene Wilder if we're going by comparing Wonkas.
I would,
That's how I imagined him in the book looking.
I
The
would say
element-
Gene Wilder's probably the best. I think it's very close.
While
second to the
while
one
their
book.
while their personalities may differ
I would-
in some
I would
areas,
agree with that.
I would have to say the things I kind of imagine as the movie version from what I first saw.
The element in the book, right, that I'm talking about when I'm talking about that casual kind of carefree, don't do it, is in the book he's crying out, don't do it. You know what I mean? You're good, and so to me that kind of nails down the element of the fact that these kids are just not listening at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're kind of jerkish.
Oh, they're just not listening. They're
not
completely
listening.
outside the control of any adult in this situation.
And
that
that's
they're in.
because, back to what Josh said, that's kind of the way the parents raised them.
Right.
But just the way that Augustus Gloop in the movie.
How-
the
how
way that
much
you,
time
you
do we-
had everybody was doing their own thing. Everybody was going crazy in that realm, and it was just in the book it was a bit more organized. In the film, it was a free for all. When you have Augustus with the chocolate in the river.
I'm surprised the thing is that him getting stuck in a pipe was the worst thing. Wouldn't he have gotten diabetes at that point?
Eventually, he
Well,
was gonna
he's
get
really young.
Yeah, but you can get diabetes as a kid.
it. Okay. Alrighty then. Do we have any final thoughts?
I want some chocolate.
Oh, there's some Oreos over there. Although
It's not real chocolate.
Yeah, Sarah just told me it's not real chocolate. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to eat it right.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna have sandwiches too.
That's not chocolate though.
It's not
Can I
chocolate.
put chocolate syrup on the sandwich?
If you'd like, but I don't know if you're gonna like it.
How do you know?
I know I wouldn't like it.
Are you aware of the sequel?
I
Oh, the Great Glass Elevator.
Yeah.
I have the sequel.
There's a sequel?
I have the box set for Roald Dahl.
Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator.
Yeah.
It's actually, I think it's better.
It's
That's
hilarious, ain't it?
It's
When I was a kid, all right, I haven't read it since I was probably in 3rd grade or something. But I laughed so hard reading that book. The president is a clown. Very funny.
Man,
That's all.
I always thought Quentin Blake made some of the funniest illustrations.
It's interesting.
Like,
though.
I just passed one though. Look at that. Look at this.
Kind of my book.
I was.
Okay.
I wasn't throwing it across the room.
Okay. Then, how would we rate this on a 0 to 5 scale with half stars permitted, Larry?
I'd give it 4 stars. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It's a classic. There's nothing really all that wrong with it or anything like that. It's a good read.
I have to go 4 stars. Yeah.
I'm gonna go 4 as well. I think that the book is, like as Larry said, it's a timeless classic. I'm not gonna give it any higher than 4 for a few reasons. One, because I feel that there was some parts of it that were not quite what I was expecting. But overall, it's a very good book.
I'm giving it a 5.
Wow, really?
I think that I think that this book sets out to what it sets out, or
It does what it sets
yeah,
out to do.
it does what it sets out to do, and it succeeds at doing so. I think that the characters, we know just enough about them for the market that it is targeting.
Right.
I like the
And Roald Dahl actually hated TV, and that's why he put Mike TV in there. I didn't know if any of
Oh,
you
really?
knew that. And he actually didn't like.
Wait, is TV around during this time? When
It
he
was.
read
This
the
was. I think this was in like the 50s or 60s when TV had just came out.
yeah,
book? Okay.
Mhm.
I get the feeling it didn't like gum very much either.
yeah, that was
I'm not sure about the
yeah.
gum.
Even though Willy Wonka did sell gum because
Because there is
or
Wonka
was
gum
going
in our
to.
world
he
too.
was, yeah, he but I feel I like the whole mantra about reading. I think that if Roald Dahl hated TV so much,
No, he really did.
and it's just the fact that Willy Wonka's the first character that I've come across in literature that hates cereal as much as I do. So,
I'm not.
That's a
Which
bonus.
is weird because the thing is, there was actually Willy Wonka cereal that came out at one point.
Yeah, it wasn't Willy Wonka cereal. What happened was that the the Quaker Oats Company made the Willy Wonka bar that was used in the 71.
Yeah, they were
movie.
actually going to release bars,
Oh,
but they
I'm
used
pretty-
it as inferior chocolate or something. And they
I'm pretty sure
they didn't
Willy
make it to
Wonka
market.
would have
They
appreciated
were going to release
it.
them right around the time of the movie.
They did release
It
chocolate.
would have
a
been
few
cool
later, though.
because it would have been like the actual bars, like in the movie.
But then again, the General Mills, Kellogg's, Quaker, they own a lot of other things aside from
I like
cereal.
the
and-
dinosaur.
They
eggs.
put up a lot of money, whatever company it was. What did you say it was?
At the dinosaur eggs.
They produced the movie because they were looking at it like
From,
they're going to launch a candy line.
That's what the big
The dinosaur
companies
eggs from
do.
the oatmeal.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
But
guys.
and then Wonka now has its whole candy line. The whole. I like the Laffy Taffies, even though my teeth.
Which the
aren't.
thing is,
I
they surprisingly
don't-
have very low chocolate. Actual Willy Wonka.
Yeah, the Wonka's primarily fruit-themed candies.
Yeah.
I like
I mean,
the-
there
like
there
nerds.
was chocolate bars that they did release a while ago when like the 2005 movie was coming
Oh,
out.
I saw those at Bed Bath & Beyond.
And the thing is, they still have some of them. It's just the thing is, like, they make it like Willy Wonka. Like the main thing you sold was chocolate, but actual Willy Wonka candy that you buy like in our world, there's not much chocolate, honestly. Which
No.
which I find is a little weird. You think that they would have made chocolate?
They
for-
do.
I
They do
agree
have
with that.
everlasting gobstoppers though.
Yes.
Yes, they do have those,
And they have nerds.
The
With,
bite
and they
of
do
an
not
ice cream
turn you
man.
purple.
Alrighty then. If you're interested in checking out Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, here is my copy that I own from the box set, which has all of the children's books that Willy Wonka wrote and released. There is a sequel to this, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator.
hmm
I'll definitely have to check that one out.
And then also, as I mentioned, I put a video up recently about a autobiography about the woman who played Veruca Salt. in the Wonka movie. If
I'll
you're
leave that
interested
in the description box.
If you're interested in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, then that's also a good thing to look up.
Alrighty then, I'll leave that in
Still
the
think that's a
description
stupid
box. Be sure.
Oompa loompa doopity doo.
We
We're
gotta
literary
find out
gladiators.
Be sure to join us next time
Oompa
for another
loompa
episode
doopity.
of Literary
We are not
Gladiators.
gonna
And
be.
for now,
And
keep
I
reading.
know that this is the show that we are all going to go and watch.